Hey, real quick, before I get started, I just want to say a shout out to Pig for Life, who it's really difficult to get these exclusives when you're working a table at TFCon. And since I was working a table, he was able to set one aside for me, one of these haulers and the desk heads and stuff. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. So thank you, Pig. Good looking out. What's up, everybody? It's your favorite key lime pod's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the TFCon exclusive from Chicago Roadcrane from MMC. They are numbered. I don't show boxes very often, but this is 142 of 500. I didn't know they had 500 on hand, but maybe they did. I can't keep track. It doesn't ultimately matter. But this is this guy. Accessory-wise, he does come with an alternate face. Not much. It's just the kind of helmet stylization is different. You know, depending on your sensibilities, doesn't quite matter. But it's nice. All the paint and detailings and stuff is done well. There's no issues with the head, so to speak. He also comes with 2 stickers. Is that Outer Banks? I don't know. Ox Builders. You get that right? Studio Ox. I think so. And then he comes with this gun, which he holds not so well. I had a real hard time getting it pegged in. It's a typical Masterpiece style peg handle, but I had a difficult time getting it pegged in. Little green paint on there, and it extends. So totally up to you what you want to do with this. The head is pretty cool. No issues. The face sculpt is cool. I can dig it. I can get behind it. The paint and all that stuff is done well. Even the yellow, which is not par for the course. I have noticed some paint chipping on this fella. We'll talk about that as we go through. We'll also show the transformation from robot to vehicle, since we did vehicle to robot last time. So the head itself is on a ball peg, as you can see up in there, which is not my favorite for Masterpiece style figures. And I'm having a hard time with this flap coming undone. But yeah, good fair down. Great up, and then the swivel is intact. Sometimes the little box cover of his head might come undone. You just have to sort that out. I will say that some of the greens matched on the die cast to the plastic. I think most of us would have expected that. It is kind of a bummer, but it's not the worst mix match I've ever seen. The arms, they do slide a little bit due to transformation, but mainly you get, it's a hinge here, and then you also get a hinge at the block, and then it also swivels like a universal style joint. So tons of articulation up to here. We've already talked about this, so I'm not going to take too much time. Double jointed elbow, getting you the full Monty. White paint, chrome, black paint, chrome, silver paint. So that's all done well, at least in the sense of application. And then the fingers are on, so we have a wrist swivel, and of course you can do both hands this way. You just open this up and then flip it. Well, we might as well do it. Oh, that popped out. I don't know if that was supposed to be glued in or what, but, and then closes, and then you got the 2 hands. So that's cool. All the chrome stylizations and painting and accents and all that stuff looks good. Fingers, you have a wrist swivel. You have a thumb on its own ball peg, and then you have each finger is individually. No. The bottom 3 are on a base pen knuckle, and the top finger is individually articulated on the first and second knuckle, but not on the third, so you kind of always have to have his hand in a relaxed pose anyway. So I'm not sure that was totally necessary, but it does give you the trigger finger, so that's a nice touch. Waist swivel. No problems there, and a bit of an ab crunch, so nothing wrong with that. And it works backward as well. You just have to adjust for the bumper. But yeah, that's pretty good. And then we have these hip flaps. They are 2 separate pieces. I can't remember if that was one piece before, but they're definitely 2 separate pieces at the moment. And then you have ratcheted universals here. It's a weird ratchet front and back, but it holds like a champ. And then out to the side, it's like a, I don't know, it's not the best. I feel like sometimes it clicks and sometimes it doesn't. Maybe it, no, there's no click at all. I'm messing with that. So it's just, it feels kind of like a soft ratchet, like a, it's like barely a ratchet. It's there. I can feel it, so to speak, but it's not really, but it holds. It mainly holds on friction, but it holds. Ratcheted thigh swivel, which is weird. And then a double jointed knee that gets you pretty much the full Monty, I'd say. And let's see, these pieces are die cast down in here. We'll talk about those in truck mode. Then we have the silver accents and all that. We'll talk about that in truck mode also. And then we have an ankle tilt down to there, up to there, so that's nice. And then a rocker to a ridiculous level. And it has a little bit of a swivel as well. Rubber tires, green paint on the wheels. So you know it's a fairly well done toy. You know we've looked at it before, obviously, but there's nothing really better or worse here per se. It's just kind of business as usual, paint by numbers, kind of MMC repaint style. But it is not bad. The back of the figure cleans up fairly well. Not as well as that MP looks like it's going to do, but not bad either. Right, let's do some transforming. Take this part out. As you may or may not remember, this is kind of the most challenging aspect, and it's not super difficult. It's just it is a little strange. You just have to split those open, give enough space for the ladder to come back on top, and then spin around and sit in the right position, and then close these up, and they'll form the kind of back of the vehicle. You can take this out and leave this open, flip the head around, maybe I need to flip these parts open here on the side, flip the chrome bits flat, and then slide the whole arm assembly back. I'm not sure if I did that or not, but we'll see. That should sit something like that, maybe. I don't know. And then you can close these up. And I forgot to put the head in. See, that's why I try to do it then. It's just tight. That little spot in there is... There we go. And then just fold it around it. Then we'll close this up there. And let's see. Push this up. These coming down in the back here. There's a little pegs there to keep the cannons plugged into. I'm just not sure. My paint is chipping all over the place. I don't know what's going on here. But these have to have these parts up. You see the paint chipping on there as well on the black bits. not great. The crotch piece, you untab and twist, fold these pieces back and flip that down underneath, so to speak, and open up these tabs on the feet and open up these pieces here. They accordion out. This is it's much easier to go to bot mode on camera. It's not the most challenging transformation or anything. It's just difficult to show this thing flopping around, so to speak. There we go. Tab together, and then you want to have this in the back. And these pieces come up over top and they clip back in to those black pieces there. And then you just try to line it up the best you can. And that's basically it. And it's just a matter of getting all this lined up. But I'm not going to waste your guys' time with that. I'll get it cleaned up off camera and we'll take a look, okay? And there he is in vehicle mode, and it's pretty much the same. All the detailings and stuff look great. The black paint, the silver paint, the chrome on there, it all works well. These, I have noticed that they're a little bit tighter than they were on the Inferno that I looked at, but that one's not budging really. This one I did get, but it's still like a taiga. Aside from that, it seems to be kind of generally fine. These do come out, and then same features. The door opens, and you can put a little fella in the cab, and this extends. Does this come out too? I can't remember. If it does, it's not budget. No, it doesn't. And then it articulates up. You go to a certain point and you lose the suspension of disbelief with the piston here, and it articulates. The diamond plating and all that stuff shows up well. Chrome detailings on the front bumper look good. And we'll bring out old Bucket Boy himself, Tiger Tracks. So, kind of par for the course. This crane does kind of get in the way. There's not like a great place for it, and it does articulate both a hinge here and at the actual hook. So, yeah, not bad. And then size comparison wise, next to MP Ironhide and Prow. So, decent size as well. Final thoughts wise, I think the first question we have to ask ourselves is, who is this character? Some people are saying it's the 7th Constructicon, you know, in the some of the poorly animated scenes, and some people are saying it's Hauler. I'm using him as Hauler, which was, you only saw him in alt mode in season 1. So I'm using him as Hauler, but it's up to you what you want to do with him, or even if you want him at all. But there's nothing really wrong with him in terms of articulation or materials and stuff like that. The only issue that I'm having with this guy is the paint chipping off, which is a bummer. You know, but outside of the paint chipping off, I don't really have any real complaints. There's some proportion issues in that chest, abdomen, pelvis area, but we've already talked about that with Inferno, so I don't want to beat a dead horse. This wasn't exclusive, so it may be pricey to track down if you want it, but I would imagine with Takara's coming Takara loves a repaint as well. Takara and MMC both love their repaints, so I would imagine that Takara has one planned down the line. I just wanted a representation of this mold because I enjoyed the mold and I wanted to have one on the shelf, and I don't need a Takara Hauler or a Takara, pardon me, fancy Constructicon either. Do you know what I mean? I just don't need that in my life. This one will do fine, and it's nice to have a different mold on the shelf. So ultimately, it's up to you. I wouldn't pay more than $100, maybe 120. But you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta pay to play sometimes. I do wish that they used a different. I don't like that translucent plastic for the windshields. It breaks up the figure to me, and it makes it look incomplete. I would rather they use a tinted translucent or just paint the thing, in my opinion. But I know not everybody feels the same way, so I get it. The thing with the paint, though, with this guy, the thing that's irritating about it is that MMC has never really been known for their paint, and they've kind of stepped up their paint game recently, and then this is kind of a bummer that the paint is chipping. And it's like, MMC is a great company, for those not in the know, and they're a class act. But sometimes the class act, you know, gets interrupted by maybe not such a class act. I've seen it happen on the piano before. Would you mind if I cut in? Shout out to Joe KW. But you know what I'm saying? It's just like when stuff backtracks a little bit from a company that you expect great things from, it is kind of a bummer. That being said, there's nothing ultimately wrong with this. It works fine. It's just kind of a question of, do you want this color of the figure, and do you want this mold of the figure? So that's totally up to you, and that's totally a subjective thing. Objectively, the only thing I can point out once again is the paint. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Till next time, take care.